So today I want to talk a little bit about something that is definitely holding back so many women, well, so many people in general, but especially keeping women back. Last night I had a coaching call with some of my students, and the thing that came up that was holding them back from moving forward in their business and growing their business was this thing called fear. Now, the thing that really surprised me was that these women are incredibly intelligent women. They are experts in their field. They are authorities. Some of them have spoken on stages around the world on their subject. So they really are people that have had much success in their life. And yet now that it comes to putting themselves out there on a social media platform and putting themselves out there online, suddenly there is this barrier that's just holding them back. And I thought, well, I know for a fact that this is a very common thing that happens, because even for myself, there's times where I feel insecure about that and I'm not sure if I'm ready to put myself out there. But I think what I've done is I've learned to deal with that fear and move forward. But I'm just finding time and time again how these women are held back by fear. So I have asked Stephen to join me again today because he is so good at all the mindset stuff. Yes, so good at coaching all that mindset stuff. And I wanted to bring him in to just have a conversation with me around this subject of fear. So let's dive into this. Okay, babe. So I was very surprised last night, especially at some of the ladies that said that how that fear is holding them back, because they are such authorities and they are so good at what they do. And yet there's this thing, this barrier, it's almost like a wall holding them back from just putting themselves out there on social media. What do you think about that?
Look, fear is a very real thing. It never goes away. It doesn't matter at which level you're progressing in life. There's always going to be fear of some sort. But our minds, our bodies are designed to keep us safe and comfortable and warm and fuzzy and cozy. And that's what we call the comfortable zone. Yeah. So whenever you're operating inside that comfortable zone, there is very little fear or no fear.
Or we've just got used to doing the things in that comfortable zone.
Well, that's why it's comfortable.
Yeah.
So you don't have fear doing anything that's in there. As soon as you need to stretch yourself, and as soon as you need to grow and do something that is not a day-to-day activity for you, then this thing called fear, perceived or real, starts coming to fruition. Yeah. And it never goes away. But the people that are good at it learn how to manage that fear as they go through life, and they use it to their advantage. And the one thing, if you think about last night, we spoke about using the fear of your own mortality as a driving force to overcome that fear. Yeah. So many of us are arrogant enough to believe that we're going to be
waking up
tomorrow morning. And then when you suddenly realize consciously that you only get given one life, and you allowing fear, and especially the fear of what other people think, is what holds many people back, is holding you back from living a fulfilling and purposeful life. And at some stage in your life, you've just got to come to the realization that you need to put yourself out there and do what you need to do, because there's a time and place for you to shine, and that time is right now.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things is when that fear comes over you is to know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. I truly believe that your why and that vision that you have, not just for your own future, but also for the vision that you have for the impact that you can make in your community, around the world, whatever it is that you were doing, if you can keep that as your North Star and know that that is the reason I want to do what I'm doing. That is the impact that you can make on others. If you can keep that at the forefront of everything you do, then that just helps you to get through that fear. because I know for so many, we go, you've got to go onto social media, you've got to go live. Everyone's telling you that video is the way forward. And what do? We hide behind static posts. We take a photo, we create a post, and we never prepare to actually switch that video on and go live. Why? Because we're scared of how people are going to judge us. We're scared of what are people going to say? What are they going to think about me? Are they going to say, who does she think she is? All those things that you are fearful of what people are going to say on social media. But the reality is that almost no one is going to make those type of comments, because if you have created and attracted people that are interested in what you are doing, and they actually then want to hear more from you. So often, in fact, Dave, you were saying yesterday, last night again, about people that's achieved more than you and people that's achieved less than you. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, generally you're going to get the criticism from the people that are, and I've said it last night, I find a difficult word, but call it below your station. So somebody less successful than you, who hasn't achieved much in their life. Those are usually the little irritating little mosquitoes that have got so many opinions. Hide behind their keyboard. They'd be the little schoolyard bullies, the ones that and it's the same in real life. It's those people that are the ones that make the most noise. But why do you take notice of them? Because they've achieved nothing in their life. Somebody that's achieved something, and somebody of status, and somebody that's successful is trying to uplift you and uphold you and move you to a higher level.
Yeah.
So those tiny little minority that you're worried about and concerned about,
they're not even your customers. They're not even your potential customers who are going to buy from you.
No. So you got to face this fear head on, and you got to take action. The more you practice it, because it is a skill, the more you practice it and tackle it head on, the easier it becomes. And so you start stretching that comfort zone of yours. So the uncomfortable zone shrinks, and the previous uncomfortable zone is now your comfort zone. And the more you practice it, the more adept you become at it. But a lot of thing about fear is, where does that fear originate from? So you've had a thought somewhere, or past programming, subconscious programming, what your parents have said, school teachers, friends, whatever in the past, have allowed you to build up the story in your head. And normally when you avoid the fear, the story becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until you actually confront it. And then when you do confront it, you realize that
it's not nearly as bad as what you think.
It's not nearly as bad as what you think. That's right. And the other thing is, where did that fear come from? Ask yourself, is that fear true for you, or have you inherited it from somebody else? Because quite often these fears just stem from, you've heard somebody else say it, or somebody in your family was scared of something, and you've taken on that burden for many, many years, never confronted it. And so is it still true for you? Was it ever true for you? Is it serving you? What's the point of holding on to this thing when it's got absolutely nothing to do with you? And I know it's difficult, to say this sort of stuff, but so much in the subconscious holds us back from what we need to be doing. So you just got to hold yourself and just start questioning some of these thoughts you have got, some of these beliefs that are ingrained, some of this programming that you have, your language, the way you speak to yourself, because we said, where focus goes, energy flows. So you're focusing on the fear. What's going to happen? Your RAS is going to start showing you everything to be fearful of. Whereas if you're courageous, if you step into it and you've got the courage, you will find it's a knock-on effect that you'll be more courageous, and you can diminish that fear over time.
Yeah. I know for myself, if ever I get to that stage of, call it fear, overwhelm, should I be doing this? Especially when I do my live workshops. I mean, that for me is, to this day, there is a whole lot of fear involved every single time that I go live, in front of a whole big crowd. And the reason is because I'm just I'm just nervous until probably only for about the first minute. And then the minute I get started, then I'm absolutely fine. But that fear is there. But all you have to do is you need to learn that it is going to be there, and you need to just take that step through that fear and not feel so uncomfortable about doing it. I've probably done, I don't know, hundreds of workshops and webinars now, and it's still there. It is still lingering in the background. And I don't think that actual nervousness will ever truly go away. I just think it's part of the adrenaline that gets us up, gets us pumping, and then you just have to step through it. But like I said in the beginning, the biggest thing that I like focusing on when I do feel like it's too much for me is, who am I serving? There's that one person out there that is looking for exactly what I can help them with. And it is my job to get on video and to teach what I can teach and take my knowledge and help someone with that knowledge. And I'm not thinking of hundreds or thousands of people that's watching me and what is everyone going to say. All I'm thinking about is this one person, my Jordan. She's my Jordan, and Jordan needs my help. And I just focus on her and what is the problem that she's got. And right now her problem is fear. And I'm talking to her to tell her, you are amazing. You're an incredible woman. You have got so much potential and you've got so much to offer this world. And you just need to let go of your fear. And you need to know that the impact that you can make is absolutely incredible. And it's going to have such a ripple effect once you are just prepared to step through that fear.
Yeah, so it's quite right. A lot of what you said there, well, all of what you said there. But the thing is, just think about this. What's the worst that can happen to you? So whatever that fear is, really, what is the worst thing that can happen to you? And then weigh that up with what's the best thing that can happen to you. So visualize the positive versus the negative. And you'll find, the scale is heavily balanced in your favor, in the positive. Because as I said, the fear will diminish because the story is a lot smaller than you've made it out to be in your head. And remember, it's all subjective. It's your subjective thoughts on what may or may not happen in the future, because it hasn't happened to you yet. So it's a subjective pattern that you've conditioned yourself to, in a belief that something is going to happen in the future. And in most cases, it never materializes.
Yeah.
So,
well, we were saying last night, we've been in the online world now for almost 10 years. And in those 10 years, I think I've had one negative comment from someone that wasn't even my ideal customer. So it's exactly like you say, we think that we are going to get all these people saying whatever, and what are they going to think? But in reality, most of them don't. Most people are there to help you, to support you. They will encourage you. And, I encourage you to make sure that you surround yourself with people who just want to see you succeed, so that they will, lift you up and support you and clap for you all the way on doing the thing that you want to do. For most of the time, people with good hearts and people who's got the, if they're true friends and true people that really want to see you succeed, they will always support you in whatever it is that you do. And when you make mistakes, like a lot of the ladies will know that we had major technical problems with our last workshop, and no one said anything. Everyone was there, everyone was supportive, and everyone was just waiting patiently for us to get it sorted. And that is the reality. If people want to hear your message, if they know that you are going to be able to serve them, they will always stand by you. No matter what happens, no matter if you make mistakes, they will always be there to support you.
Correct. So this voice that wants to keep you safe and comfortable, you've just got to be aware of it and accept it's going to be there. Because sometimes you need that voice of reason to stop you jumping over the side of the cliff. But quite often it's doing you more harm than good. So again, as I said earlier, just think about what thoughts you're having, because those thoughts are going to lead to emotions and feelings, which lead to behaviors and actions, which end up with your results. So what sort of thoughts are you having, and what messaging are you giving yourself? Because you've also got to help yourself with this one. Because if you're determined to overcome that fear, you've got to take the little actionable steps each day. So if you're fearful of the camera, for example, there's only one way around it, is to get in front of the camera and then repeat the process over and over and over again. And just remember that you are highly skilled, you're highly talented, you're an expert in your field. So you should have comfort in the knowledge that what you've got to say is of value to people. People want to hear from you. The right people want to hear from you. And when you learn to market properly, your messaging will fall on the right ears. So that's just the way it is. The more value you can put out there. And like I say, if you get your messaging right and your marketing right, and you're speaking to the right people anyway, and they're going to accept you for who you are.
So I love what you just said there, because this is, again, something that came up last night, was knowing who your market is. Because the one student spoke to me and said, there's someone else doing something similar in her field, but the other person, let's call her the competitor, is 30 years younger than her. And the fear was around, she's so much more capable of doing social media than what my student were. However, when you turn it around, we were thinking, well, okay, so my student is fearful because this younger competitor has got the edge on maybe social media. However, I'm sure that younger competitor is looking at my student saying, oh my word, she's got 30 years of experience on me. How can I ever deliver and compete with someone like that? So just remember that you might be fearful of someone, or you might see someone as a threat, and then it stops you from taking action. But the exact same thing can be happening from the other side. So it's really, and the reality was, like I told her, is that she more than likely wouldn't even be attracting that 30-year younger customers, because generally we find that we attract people into our world on what we do that is of similar age as we are. So she'll probably attract older.
Depends on the product.
Yeah, depending on the product. But generally speaking, they will attract people. You will attract people that will connect with you better and your personality. So it was very interesting to talk about that as well, and to see the difference in how the different fears can come up depending on the person you are.
Yeah, and change is always scary. It doesn't matter any new venture you do, any new idea.
Oh, for sure.
It's always scary, and it's always going to be there. But you've got to decide for yourself what's scarier for you. Is to keep on doing what you're doing, and you're going to get criticized for that anyway, by the way. You just don't know it. Just because you haven't put yourself out there, people are going to think she's so capable or he's so capable, and yet they're doing nothing with those talents that they've been given. So there's scariness or fear in anything you're going to do or not do. But like I said at the start of this, you've got one life. You just make a decision once that you're here for a reason, and you're going to share your message with people that need to hear that message. And irrespective of the one or two naysayers, because that's all that will be, is you're going to go ahead and do it. And I look forward to watching you all do it.
And I'm looking forward to see you all step through your fear, especially when it comes to social media, especially when it comes to putting yourself out on social media, doing some videos, doing some Facebook Lives, doing some stories where you actually have to show your face, and for the ripple effect and the impact that you are then going to make. So I know it is a big subject. It is something that I know a lot of people struggle with, but I really hope that you will realize that it's like the teacher standing in front of the classroom. We all just look at her and think she's absolutely fine. No one's even thinking twice about it. However, she's standing there and she is so nervous and stressed out about standing in front of that classroom. You're standing in front of a classroom now, and everybody is just waiting for you to teach them. So I hope you will, embrace your fear, step through it, get into that uncomfortable zone, and make your uncomfortable zone your new comfortable zone. Well, that's it from us this week. Now, like always, I want you to go out there and make an impact, because there's someone out there right now looking for exactly what you have to offer.